Today, I'm going to talk about the new Dark CPLs from MAVEN Filters. So MAVEN Filters recently launched their Kickstarter Wave 2 for their new filters. They're adding all sorts of new filter options to their existing product line. Something that caught my particular interest was the Dark CPLs, essentially an ND filter combined with a CPL filter. Had me pretty excited. Now, I was a backer of the first MAVEN Kickstarter, and I did an unboxing video on those. I'll link them down below. And they were pretty solid filters. They came with the color coding, magnetic, just super awesome filters. So I happened to be lucky enough to get sent an early look at some of the filters in the Kickstarter, including the Dark CPLs. And that's what I'm going to take a look at today. So this is literally my first time out in the field with these filters. I haven't tried them out beyond just open them up, put them in the case, and go from there. So this is not really a review video, it's a first look video. And we're just going to play with the Dark CPLs. I've come out to one of my favorite waterfalls in this particular area, and we're going to just sort of play with them, experiment with them. I'll show you some of the filters, talk about some of the advantages of a combined ND and CPL filter and what MAVEN brings to the table, and go from there. Like I said, I'll do a more in-depth review after I've had more time with them, but I thought while the Kickstarter gets underway, it'd be useful to have this first look just to give you an idea of what these filters are all about and how they work out in the field. Okay, before we dive into these specific Dark CPL filters and what they bring, let's talk about what MAVEN Filters did with their initial Kickstarter and a little bit about MAVEN Filters in general. First, they are magnetic filters. Anyone who's watched my channel knows I love magnetic filters because it makes it super easy to change, replace, be creative in the field, and make adjustments while you're out there photographing. Super efficient. In addition, they're color-coded. This was super awesome, one of their super awesome features. You can see here, these are color-coded. So depending on which filter it is, it gets a certain color, like a CPL is a blue filter, which we'll dive into in a little bit. That makes it super handy to find your filters quickly. For example, in this case they provide, you can look through it and see which filters are in there. Or if you do what I do and accidentally leave a filter on the lens, it's easy to look in your camera bag and see the filter, find it, instead of being a black filter. So color coding is super cool. Now MAVEN goes an extra step, and they actually put little knurls on the edges of their filters. So take a look at this. You can see right there, there's knurls, there's little nubs. They actually sized those specific to the filter. So if you remember which size knurl is on there, you can almost tell by feel which filter is which. Just another little cool feature that MAVEN brings to the table with their filters. Their ND filters have tier 1 color accuracy, so a lot of filters, when you put them on, you can get a little bit of a tint. It can sort of skew the color in your picture. MAVEN Filters spent a lot of time trying different films, different manufacturers, different options to get that tier 1 quality, and their ND filters do have that tier 1 quality. They've had that since the first Kickstarter, and they're obviously bringing it to the second Kickstarter with this Wave 2. Finally, their filters have a lifetime warranty against manufacturer defects, and they bring stellar customer care to the table. If you just sort of watch some of the comments out there, they always reply, they always help out, they help people out with their filters, so they bring a high level of customer service as well. So if you're not familiar with MAVEN Filters, those are just some of the things they've been doing since their first Kickstarter earlier this year. So with that, it's time to play with these. We're going to head down the trail, head to my favorite waterfall here, and we're going to talk a little more about these Dark CPLs, put them into action, and see how they work. Okay, so we made it down to Cedar Falls. This is where I like to test my filters. It's got several different composition options, and it sort of lets me compare things from one filter to another. So we're down here, we're set up. I got a basic composition in there, not necessarily dialed in, but it'll work for testing purposes in this first look. So what is a Dark CPL? Well, it's when you blend an ND filter with a CPL filter. So it's all combined into one. So you can take, say, a 3-stop ND filter, combine it with a CPL, and that'll make a Dark CPL. MAVEN Filters has done that with a 3-stop, a 6-stop, and a 10-stop filter, and I've got each one of them out here today. It's a little overcast, things like that, so really I'm probably going to be mainly playing with the 3-stop Dark CPL. So again, that's a 3-stop ND combined with a CPL. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, I photograph a lot of waterfalls. Anyone that watches my channel knows I'm a big fan of moving water and waterfalls. So a lot of times, in order to get the water to look the way I want, either because it's bright out, which is forcing me into a higher shutter speed, or maybe the waterfall is a lower flow fall, and I need to keep the shutter open longer to get that nice soft look to it, I'll often put on an ND filter and a CPL filter. So A dark CPL lets me have just one filter I can put on, so I can set up here, get everything all set up. A 3-stop is a pretty common filter for me, a 3-stop ND, and I can just toss it on, and I'll have my polarization effect as well as my ND effect all in one filter. So it makes it convenient. I don't have to grab 2 filters. I can just grab the one, rotate the one to get the polarization level set the way I want, and then I'm good to go. Now, another advantage of that is I am shooting right now with a 14-30 my wide angle lens on this falls. Sort of zoomed in a little bit. I think I'm zoomed in, I don't know, 24-ish millimeters, something like that. But when I choose filters, I don't like to have a whole lot of bulk in my bag. So my 14-30 is a 82 millimeter filter thread. Now, to completely remove any chance of vignetting, what you really want to do is get a step-up ring and go to the next filter size up. However, because I carry my bag in lots of different places, I fly with it, I like to keep the weight and just the size of things in my bag down to a reasonable level. And because of that, I buy the 82 millimeter filters because they don't take up as much size in the bag. They're not so unwieldy, in my opinion. The problem comes when you're trying to use filters on a wide-angle lens. You can start to get a little bit of vignetting. You can sometimes get that with just one filter, but once you start stacking filters, for example, an ND filter and a CPL, that thickness of the filter starts to get further out, and that starts to have a higher probability of causing vignetting. So usually you can work around that vignetting by just sort of zooming in a little bit. So a lot of times on my lens, I can usually, if I'm getting vignetting at 14 millimeters, zoom in like 15 or 16 or something like that. But a combined dark CPL, yes, it's a little thicker than the normal CPL, but it's not as thick as 2 filters stacked together. So I start to minimize and reduce that chance of vignetting by having that combined filter. Something super cool, and for filter users like me who like to go with just match it to the largest filter size of my lenses, this is very promising to at least minimize the vignetting, if not eliminate it. And finally, one last point is CPL, circular polarizers, tend to have a bit of a yellow hue to them. It's just the physics of how a CPL works. It's very difficult to completely remove it. Even the first round Maven Kickstarters had a little hint of yellow, not super noticeable, but to the people that are super good at picking out that color accuracy, they can notice it and see it in there. But with this combined CPL, Maven has been able to take the ND filter and sort of use the ND portion to sort of remove a little bit of that hue. So again, really working to improve that color accuracy when you're using filters. That can be a problem with a lot of other filter brands, especially some of the more inexpensive ones. You just get that color cast, and if you're out there photographing something, you're either going to have to remove it in post-processing, and it just makes things harder. So the combining lets them help remove some of that color cast. So let's jump up here to the camera. We're going to play with the Dark CPL, the 3-stop ND filter with the CPL. We're just going to play, we'll do some behind the camera, sort of walk through what we're doing and go from there. Okay, and just to follow up on the color, Maven Filters puts a lot of thought into things. And so on the first wave of filters, the CPL filter was blue, the 3-stop filter was red, the 6-stop filter was purple, and the 10-stop purple was gold. So when they started blending the filters together, he merged the colors. So on this 3-stop here, we've got blue to let you know it's a CPL, but then the knurls are red, so you know it's the 3-stop filter. So sort of once you start to memorize the Maven Filter color coding system, you can really start to identify your filters quickly. So if you're trying to grab a combined filter, you know you're looking for blue for the CPL, and then you're looking for either red, purple, or gold, depending on which stop of ND filter you want. Makes it super easy to grab. If you're just using a CPL, you're looking for the solid blue filter. So super handy, and again, it sort of just goes to show the thought that Maven Filters puts into their products to sort of make it easy as you start to get into their system and start to understand the colors and the knurls. Things just all start to make sense. So, okay, I said we're going to the camera, now we're going to the camera. I mentioned earlier that one of the features of Maven Filters is they're magnetic, and that's super cool. So here I am on the camera, no filter on the front. We're going to put the Dark CPL on. That's it. That's all you got. That's just super fast, easy. Makes it super easy to switch. So if I wanted to switch from, say, a 3-stop to a 6-stop, it's literally just pop this one off, put it away, grab the 6-stop, put it on. Now the CPLs, you adjust it by just sort of turning, just like you would any other filter. Just in magnetic filter case, it just slides on that adapter ring. Super handy, super efficient. One of the reasons why I just love magnetic filters. Okay, so what we're going to do here is first we're just going to go through no filter at the moment, and I'm sort of recording through the camera here. Use my histogram to set up this exposure. So we've got this set up, and as you can see in this particular picture, there's lots of glare on the water, The falls are coming through quickly. But watch what happens when we put the ND filter on. Again, I'm using the Dark CPL 3-stop ND, this one right here. And then we're just going to put this on. And as you can see right away, everything darkens. That's because it's a 3-stop ND. It's letting 3 stops less light in there. So first we're going to adjust the shutter speed, slow it down, watch that histogram. Okay, we're ballpark-ish where we need to be. So, but we're getting a lot of glare. So we've got the 3-stop effect, but just like you would a normal polarizer, you just rotate the filter. It's rotating the filter now. And see the polarization effect come into play? Now all of that water right in here no longer has the glare in it. So that's what the Dark CPL does. It gives you 3 stops less light, which is letting me slow my shutter speed so the water up there, I can control what it looks like. I like a little bit of a soft water look, so I like to be able to slow the shutter speed down. That's what the ND does. The combined CPL lets me rotate it just like I would a normal CPL filter to remove that glare from the water. Let me get a little bit more detail. So let me take that, turn the polarizer, and see? Now it's all bright glare. Distracts, your eye is actually getting drawn to this glare in the front of the falls as opposed to the falls. Rotate the filter, get the polarization effect adjusted where I want. Boom. Now I've got detail on these rocks up ahead, and the falls is more of the center of attention. Now you can choose to season to taste for your filtering effect. I probably tend towards pretty polarized, which not everyone's going to like. But you can back it off just a little bit. See, pull it off there like that a little bit. Get a little bit of that water, not quite as polarized. It's really sort of seasoned taste. There's going to be people who like it one way or like it the other. But that's really all there is to it. That's why the Dark CPL filters are so cool. It's all in one filter. I put it on, I get my ND effect, and then I'm able to rotate it just like a normal polarizing filter to get the right level of polarization effect, and then take a picture and get what I want. So super cool that it's all in one filter. Just makes things super easy, super efficient, really well done. So like I said, that was all video effect. Let me get a couple still images just so I have a few to show in the video, and then we'll jump back in. Okay, we did a couple shots with the Dark CPL 3-stop ND filter. We're just going to throw the 6-stop on real quick. Again, it's purple. It's got the blue for the CPL, purple for let me know it's a 6-stop. So we're going to pop the 3-stop off, put 6-stop on, just so we have a few shots with it. We're going to get my polarization effect set. Nice, just super easy, rotate, no problem. Now I'm going to slow my shutter speed down because I lost another 3 stops of light. I'll watch the histogram as I do this. That looks good. That takes me to about a 10-second exposure and f11, and I am shooting at ISO 200. It's a pretty overcast day, and my shutter speeds are actually going to get too long if I went too low of an ISO, so we're just going to shoot ISO 200, take this shot, and we'll wait, tick-tock, tick-tock. Okay, let's take a look at that on the back of the camera. Man, that is nice. I actually sort of like that 6-stop shot. I will say, man, like the color accuracy just seems to be really nice on this. Yeah, that's a nice shot. I like it. So yeah, and again, that's how easy it is to switch things around. Okay, and just in case you are new to magnetic filters, sometimes I take for granted everyone's out there using magnetic filters. So I do just want to mention this real quick. To use a magnetic filter, you do need a magnetic adapter ring, which is fit on this lens. This is my, again, this is my 14-30, so it's my 82 millimeter filter thread size, so it's the biggest one. So here, I just use an adapter ring, and it screws into your normal filter threads, and that's what lets your magnetic filters fit in. So if you're new to magnetic filters, you use a magnetic adapter ring on your largest filter size ring. But then you got something like this 24 to 120 right here, right? And its filter size is 77 millimeters. Well, you don't necessarily want to go out and buy filters for every single one of your lenses. So then you use a step-up ring. And what it is 77 millimeter filter thread that screws into the end of the lens and steps it up to 82 millimeters. So that step-up ring lets me adapt from a 77 millimeter filter thread to 82. So all of the 82 millimeter filters I have just fits right on. Same with my 100 to 400 in there, my Nikon 100 to 400, it's a 77 millimeter thread. So I've got a step-up ring on it too. So if you're new to magnetic filters, it takes a magnetic adapter, typically on your largest filter sized lens, 82 millimeters in my case. All my other lenses, I use step-up rings to adapt them from the smaller filter thread size up to the larger 82 millimeter. So 77 to 82 here. They make them on all sorts of different sizes, but that's how you get your magnetic filters on, just in case you're new to magnetic filters. Okay, one more test for this first look, only because if I don't do it, I'm going to get a lot of questions about it because it is the most frequently asked question, I think, and that is on my wide-angle lens, a 14-30, what's the vignetting like when you put the Dark CPL on? Now, like I said, I already admit, if you truly don't want any risk of any vignetting, typically a step-up ring to the next larger size is what you want. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take a picture here with no filter on at 14 millimeters, the widest this lens does. And then I am going to put the Dark CPL on, just tweak it, get my exposure set, and we're going to take a test shot with it to see what the vignetting situation is like. Take a quick look on the back of the camera. I'm actually going to lighten this exposure up just a touch more, only because I want the corners to be somewhat bright, just to check. So from the back of the camera, this may be, there is just the teeniest hint of vignetting down here in the lower right corner that I can see. That's sort of my brightest picture of the scene. That's really impressive. That is not problematic to me at all. But my quick first look, I'm thinking the vignetting problem is gone, or at the very least it's so minimal that it's not even a consideration anymore, which is super cool. Really excited to see that. I'll probably play a little bit more with this against a white wall. I might do a short on that. Not sure I'll get it included in this video, but hopefully by the time this video posts, I can answer those questions if you do have questions down in the comments below. But yeah, really promising for the vignetting. Super cool. It's one of the things I was excited about for this particular set of filters. So let's wrap this thing up. This wasn't supposed to be a full-on review, just sort of use them in the field, initial first impressions, and go from there. Okay, so I think that wraps up this first look at the Dark CPLs. I got through a lot of the things I wanted to cover, which is talk a little bit about some of the features of MAVEN filters in general, the benefits of a Dark CPL, and a quick first look. Initial impressions are color accuracy looks good. The vignetting thing looks really good too. I'm obviously going to take a closer look. This is not a full in-depth review. This is literally my first morning out with these filters. And like I said earlier, I don't like to do full review videos until I've had a little bit of time, a little bit of experience in different situations, different environments, and the whole bit. But thought it'd be helpful to get that first look. People might be curious what a Dark CPL is. The Kickstarter's running right now. And even if the Kickstarter's over, you might be looking for a new filter and trying to figure out what do you want, who should you be considering. So positive first look, pretty happy with it. Like I said, keep an eye out on the channel. I do plan to do a few more videos on some of the new offerings from MAVEN Filters in this Kickstarter. I got a linear polarizer I'm planning on trying out and testing and going with that. So hopefully you found this video helpful. And if you did, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see future landscape photography content from me, including tips, tricks, behind the scenes, mini gear reviews, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And thank you for watching.